Hey everybody, good morning. This is Rob. So this video is going to be about a topic that I generally don't talk about very much, which is technology. So no one who might stumble upon this video should think that I'm some kind of person who really knows a whole lot about smartphones or any technology really. I use technology in my day-to-day life just because everyone does these days. But the impetus for me making this video is because yesterday my Pixel 3a finally stopped working. Now, I've had it for about 2 years, and I've liked the phone. I think it takes great pictures, and it's worked pretty well for me, but I haven't taken the best care of it. I've dropped it in, hot springs. I've dropped it into the bath. I've dropped it into snow while hiking. It's dropped on the ground while I was getting out of my car many times. What I believe happened yesterday is it slipped out of my pocket while I was driving. When I got out of my car, I realized I didn't have it. It was in between my seat. When I went to grab it, I think I kind of must have cracked the screen, because now you can hear it vibrating when I press the fingerprint, but there's nothing on the screen, and then I'm seeing little blue lines. So I must have broken the screen. I could bring it somewhere and see how much it costs to fix that issue, but there's some other issues too, so I think it's probably better that I just replace it. Now, for me, the two choices that I'm looking at are the iPhone SE or the Pixel 4a. I'd actually prefer if there was a Pixel 5a out right now. But that's probably not going to be out until later this year. The 4A came out last August. So while I'm looking at phones and comparing and contrasting stats on these different phones, I'm coming across a lot of phones that are insanely expensive in my view. $1,000 phones, the iPhone 12 or the Samsung Galaxy S21 or whatever number they're up to. And I just don't get it, because when I look at the stats of these phones, there doesn't really seem to be anything that really wows me. Now, I'm not a person who makes a high income, so I understand completely that there's people that are going to say, what are you talking about? $1,000 isn't a lot. That's half of what I make in a week, and I can easily afford that. Okay, great. If that's your deal, then fine. This probably doesn't apply to you at all. You're someone who just wants the latest and greatest phone, for whatever reason. But the thing is, when I am reading around on comments or reviews or whatever of people trying to, defend why they feel they need these really expensive phones, it really seems to me like they're just people who kind of geek out over phones, or they are chasing status. They want to make sure they don't want to be seen with the iPhone SE, so they need to have the iPhone 12. They don't even want to be seen with the iPhone 11 or any earlier model. They just want to have the best, the top of the line phone that is out right now. But when I look at the stat comparisons of these things, there doesn't really seem to be a compelling reason to spend the extra money to me. Take the Pixel 4a versus the Pixel 5 right now. The only stat of the two that really wows me and draws me to say, okay, maybe I'll spend the extra, $250, $300, whatever it is, for that phone, is that the 5 is rated for water resistance, whereas the 4a is not. So I could sort of see, okay, you're going to pay a little extra because it's water resistant. But that's not enough to convince me personally. Buy a case to protect it from the water, whatever. But that's not even a big deal, spending a little bit extra money for the Pixel 5. But when you start getting into these phones that are $1,000, $1,200, why? And I see the most honest reason is, again, the people that are saying, look, I can afford this. I make a lot of money. I want that. Okay, good. Fair enough. I'm not going to even attempt to try to argue with someone whose justification is that. But anytime I see people trying to make a objective, reasoned analysis of why you should spend $1,100, $1,200 on a smartphone, it always rings really hollow. It's just kind of like just a lot of just like silliness. Like they're saying, well, this works faster. The processor, the chip in it is much better, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at the stats, okay, maybe it is a little bit better. You know, maybe if you're using it all day, every day, and running a lot of apps for your job or your business, I mean, maybe you're getting a little better performance out of these things, but I can't see that the performance justifies spending 2 or 3 times as much. None of them there's none that have like these exceptional batteries that'll promise to last you 3 days without charging or anything. The resolution on the screens are not incredibly better. They're all better, of course, but it's not like, holy crap, I'm going to be blown away when I get this screen as compared to the $400 smartphone. So I can't help but to think that it's just all marketing that is convincing people that, hey, you need to have these really good phones. You can't settle for that second or third best phone. You need to jump on the bandwagon of having a $1,000 smartphone. And while there are plenty of people who, for them, this isn't really a big expense, I think there's probably a greater number of people that are putting themselves in financial holes so they can afford these phones that they really, really don't need. Or probably don't really want if they would, practice a little bit of self-reflection and examine whether or not they really need to have that Samsung, or that iPhone that costs $1,100. So anyway, I'm not sure if anyone will even see this video, but if you have an opinion that differs from mine, I'm willing to hear it. Again, this isn't really a topic that I spend a whole lot of time dealing with. I'm not a tech geek. I don't find smartphones to be that interesting of a topic. I'm more approaching this from the, how our lives are being manipulated by marketing and capitalism sort of perspective. Maybe you have a different perspective and you can let me know in the comments.